being born and dying are like the two things that are almost guaranteed, right? Like no one lives forever. So how do you react? How do you react when someone you care about, or like your friend, tells you that they're sick and they have to be on life support? Hey guys, and welcome to another video, which I'm vegan and Frodo. Thanks again for being here on my channel. Thanks for coming back. I hope the videos that I make, in a way, make a difference. Maybe I talk about all sorts of different stuff on my channel, and I publish all sorts of different stuff, and I have fun with it. And hopefully in some way you can relate to some things I talk about. Maybe it can be helpful to someone out there. Okay, I don't even know how to begin to talk about the subject because it's really personal, I guess, and it's really different from anything like I had experienced in the past and had to really deal with. And for a little while, like, I really just ignored it. And it came like so close to the time that I don't think I can anymore. And it's really difficult. Okay, we'll start at it, otherwise I'll be just sitting here crying at it on camera for freaking half an hour and not really kind of getting anything out. So I'll make a few of those videos, just kind of talk about this stuff, and I'm sure someone out there, like in the world, has had experience of this, and kind of, I don't know, maybe like someone out there might be able to relate to this. And okay. Oh my god, it's been 2 minutes and I'm sorry that I haven't even started making any sense. Okay. Life support or life sentence. When the older you get, time to time, more often than when you were younger, you come across people dying. But usually it is a sudden death, or, and we're not talking about like teenagers having dramas and deciding or claiming that they want to commit suicide or whatever. But just, I think dealing with death is a little confusing, especially being young and not having to deal with it much, really. But how do you deal with it? Like, it just happens, right? It's just something that's natural, and we don't talk about it. But being born and dying are like the two things that are almost guaranteed, right? Like, no one lives forever, so it happens, and but we choose not to talk about it. Man, it's already been 3 minutes and I'm not making any sense. I'm sorry. Okay, so how do you react? How do you react when someone you care about, or like your friend, tells you that they're sick and they have to be on life support? And after being on a life support for a little while, they're kind of understanding that this life is not really what they want. This life is not the life that they want to keep living, because they're used to a more fun, more exciting life. How do you deal with it? How do you process that in your head, that someone has just single-handedly decided, I want to say decided their destiny, but in a way destiny is pretty determined and pretty decided in the first place, right? Like, but how do you like make sense of that? How do you make sense of someone telling you that they're planning to die and they're planning their own funeral and they're they know when they're gonna die and how they're gonna die. And it's just like, it's probably fine when you're older and I don't know, perhaps you're closer to it. But I don't know if many people even think about stuff like that. How do you process that? How do you react to your friend telling you that they're planning to die and they know like how they're gonna die? And I'm not talking about suicide. Is turning off life support suicide? Like, do you reckon like turning off life support is a suicide? I don't know. I don't know if it is. How did I react when he told me? It's just that, in a way, I slightly denied it, but then I just kind of accepted it. At the moment, like, I remember feeling like what I felt when he told me, and I remember how I felt a little bit afterwards. And to me, I kind of leveled and there's like two different ways to deal with this, right? Like, you can kind of think about your feelings and how you're feeling and deal with it from that point of view. Or you can think about the logic and deal with it logically. And if you focus on the feelings, you're just gonna just be like upset and sad about it. And like, and the closer you get to time, the more emotional you tend to become, because it's becoming really real and it's happening and you like really need to deal with it. You have to face it. And that's a struggle that's tough on its own. And I think it's not necessarily like being on life support, but you know, when you have like a relative or a friend that's been sick for a long time with whatever disease it could be, it's always, you know, you prepare yourself, but you just don't think about these things. And when shit hits the fan, you're like, oh my God, like I need to deal with it. And you start actually, you know, it's real, it becomes real, and you have to deal with it with your feelings and things. But when you first hear the news, the idea, and another way of handling it is logically, right? And you just logically think about it and kind of realize that this person has lived a wonderful, incredible life and they had enjoyed it very much. They've done everything they wanted to do, and they feel like they're tired. They feel like they had enough. They feel like they're ready for the next step and like whatever it is that comes afterwards. Like, they finished with the mission that they were given and they decided to complete in this life, and they go into the next one. And like, I kind of feel like this way makes it a lot easier to handle it, because you're not thinking about yourself, right? Like, that's what emotions are. Like, we're thinking how a certain event affects us, and we're basically being selfish because we're not considering what this person is going through and how they're feeling. And perhaps turning off life support will make them, put them at ease, let them rest, even though it might sound like a bit crazy, but set them off into that next step, next mission, or whatever comes. What comes after death? Like, do you know? Because like, we don't know, right? Unless we're on such high spiritual level that we do. Just like, it's an interesting lesson, and it's an interesting kind of experience to go through, to kind of, you know, I've experienced like relatives and people I knew die and like been to funerals and things before, but often it just comes suddenly, right? But when you know in advance that it's going to happen, I think maybe perhaps the point of this video is to say that there are two different ways of dealing with it, and it's not easy, especially if you're going through it. Like, seriously, it's not easy. Don't feel bad if you don't know how to freaking handle this, because it's a different experience. Like, how do you handle it? But you can think about it logically, or you can think about it emotionally, and you can choose which path, or combination of them. Probably it's going to be combination of them, how you can handle it. But the best thing would be to do is not let your emotions run out of control and go crazy, because when you just get caught up in that emotional circle, it's just like a roller coaster in your head, and you just don't know. It just goes on and on and on and on, and it's like non-stop, and you almost like recharging yourself, but because it's like a negative energy, or, well, yeah, someone's dying, but like it kind of goes like a roller coaster, and it's like a turbine almost, like, and it just goes on and on and on, and it just like becomes worse and worse and worse and worse. But if you think about it logically, you kind of thinking about it from a different perspective, and you're thinking about the other person, right, what they're going through and why they're making the decision of turning off life support that they're making. And it might be hard to handle. It might be hard to understand, and I should probably cut this video because it's been going on for like over 10 minutes now. But give yourself time. Don't be too hard on yourself, all right? Because it's a whole other playing field, and you don't want to be used to handling this. You don't want to know how to handle it, because it's not a nice thing to handle. But it's an interesting, I want to say interesting lesson to learn, interesting experience to go through, because you learn everything, something. You learn something from every experience that happens in life, and it's not every experience is exactly what you think it's going to be, but every experience is perfectly exactly what it needs to be for that moment, for you to know how to handle, how to process. Yeah. So don't be too hard on yourself, but sorry. There you go. There you go. But try to just understand how the person is feeling. Maybe understand it from their point of view, and just deal with it one day at a time. That's all you can do, right? Okay, thanks for watching this video. We'll probably just keep talking about this subject for a while, here and there, because it's a bit real and a bit present for me. But I'll see you again here soon. I'll have a couple of recipe videos coming, and I'll have a few more blogs, and we're doing more cycling challenges, and I have another tour coming up. So we have lots of exciting, fun things happening. Lots of love to you guys. Bye.